Unit 9, Lesson 1, Radians and Degrees. Before I begin by sketching the provided angles in the homework and identifying which quadrant or axis it lies in, I'm going to go back to this blank unit circle that you were all provided. And I'm going to go over specific types of angles. Now, how can we quickly identify these? Let's first start by looking at this unit circle, and let's divide it into 4 equal parts. Each one of these parts is called a sector. A sector looks like a slice of pizza or a slice of pie. This is quadrant number 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So in quadrant 1 will be the angles between 0 and 90 degrees. In quadrant 2 will be between 90 and 180 degrees. Quadrant 3 will be angles between 180 degrees and 270. And finally, quadrant 4 will be between 270 and 360. Now, is there a quick way to fill in all of these missing pieces of the unit circle? Yes, and I'm going to go over that right now. So think of this real quick. This is 30 degrees. And if I was going to take this measurement here and I was going to cut out this slice of a pie or slice of pizza, I would see that I could put it right over the top of this second one and a third one and a fourth one. We can see, right, each of these are 30-degree interior increments. So here's the quick way here. I'm going to skip where I see the boxes. Those will be 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. Think of this as a starting line on a track, okay? Up to this point is an interior angle of 30. So a quick way for me to do this is I'm going to first start just by counting by threes. 3, skip this, 6, 9, 12, skip because it has a box, 15, 18, 21, skip, 24, 27, 30, skip, 33, and 36. Now go back and put a 0 behind everything. We can see I already have zeros behind 90, 180, 270, and 360. Okay, next we're going to do the 45s. So that's this missing pieces that have these boxes. Now this is directly in between 30 and 60. The difference from 30 degrees to 60 degrees is 30. And if I split 30 degrees in half, it'd be 15. I can either subtract 15 from 60 or add 15 to 30. Regardless, I come up with 45 degrees. The same thing here. This is a difference of 30. Half of 30 is 15. 120 plus 15 is 135. Difference of 30. 210 plus 15 is 225. Difference of 30. 300 plus 15 is 315. So I've gone about and I've made all of these key interior angles. That doesn't mean that the degree 1 or a degree of 15 or a degree of 20 does not exist. These are just key ones that we are going to memorize. This is in terms of degrees. Now we're going to label those same interior angles, but we're going to label them in terms of radians. Just like we measure distance in terms of miles and kilometers, it's the same length, it's just measured in different units. Degrees is often what is easier for students to initially connect to, but as we get deeper into trigonometry, we are most often going to go back to radian measurements. Okay, so let's look at the top half here. I can go ahead and cover up the bottom half. And if I asked myself, how many 30-degree slices of pie, so the interior angle is 30 degrees, how many would occur on the top half of this unit circle? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's going to help me as I go ahead and I label each one of these. So this is the first one. So it's 1 pi over 6. This is the first one. This is always my starting line. Now I have 2 of these. So if I took off the side, I did 1 pi over 6 plus 1 pi over 6, because that's ultimately how I get up to here. I add 1 over 6, 1 pi over 6 plus 1 pi over 6. What would I end up with? Well, 1 pi over 6 plus 1 pi over 6 is 2 pi over 6. And 2 pi over 6 reduces to 1 pi over 3, because 2 over 6 are both going to be divisible by 2. So I think in my mind, I first don't worry about reducing it. The first thing I do is I go, okay, this is 1 over 6. This is 2 over 6, and 2 over 6 reduces to 1/3. This would be 3 pi over 6 because 1 and 1 and 1 is 3 pi over 6. It's going to reduce to 1 pi over 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 pi over 6. And 4 pi, if I move this down so you can see, 4 pi over 6, where they're both even, reduces to 2 pi over 3. 1, so we don't count this as 1, by the way. That's a common misconception. This is 1 over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6 cannot be reduced. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over 6 reduces to 1 pi. And I'm just going to continue to count here. Let me move this off to the side. So going to the bottom half here, I'm hitting all those 30-degree increments. So this is going to be 7 pi over 6, which does not reduce. This will be 8 pi over 6, and I know 8 pi over 6, if I move this up so everybody can see, 8 pi over 6 does reduce to 4 pi over 3. This is 9 pi over 6, but they're both divisible by 3. 3 pi over 2. Okay, so this is 9 over 6. This is 10. If you're wondering, how did I get 10 pi over 6? I start here and I count as I move up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 10 pi over 6, both even, reduced by 2 on both the numerator and denominator to get 5 pi over 6. So this is 10 pi over 6 reduces to 5 pi over 3. This is 11 pi over 6, and I end at 12 pi over 6, which reduces to 2 pi. So when we think about this measurement, we could say it's equivalent to 30 degrees or 1 pi over 6. Starting here and going up to this point would be 90 degrees interior measurement, also equivalent to 1 pi over 2. So let's go back and now let's hit where I have these boxes. All right, so if I'm going to start here, I first am going to go ahead and go, okay, this is a 45-degree interior angle. So this is the first one. So how many of these occur in the top half of this unit circle? There's 1, 45, 45 and 45 is 90. There's 2, 90 and 45 is 135. There's 3, 135 and 45 is 180. So there's 4 45-degree increments in the top half of the unit circle. This is 1 pi over 4. If I add 1 pi over 4 and I add additional 1 pi over 4, I end up with 2 pi over 4. Well, 2 pi over 4 reduces to 1 pi over 2. Whether we count by 30s or by 45s, it still reduces to 1 pi over 2. So here's 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over, sorry, I go back here. This is 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4. This is 3 pi over 4. This would be 4 pi over 4, which also reduces to 1 pi. Let's go down to the bottom. In quadrant 3, I have 5 pi over 4. This would be 6 pi over 4. Well, 6 pi over 4 reduces to 3 pi over 2. 7 pi over 4, and this would end at 8 pi over 4, which also reduces to 2 pi.